Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth,
And I'm Coach Victoria.
and in this video we're going to be talking about I'm scared to lose my ex for good.
This is a very valid feeling.
Oh, absolutely. When people are going through a breakup, there's so much information out there, and so many coaches are trying to get you to push to connect with your ex, contact them. Some of them are downright scary in their approach that are going to get you guys restraining orders. We tell you guys to leave your ex alone, and it's terrifying because everything inside you wants to connect with them, and we know that. You don't want to leave them alone. You're afraid that if you do leave them alone, they're not going to reach out again because they're angry at you or they're turned off by your behavior and all those things that have happened at the time of the breakup. A lot of times it's arguing, fighting, and pushing, to get close to them. But our approach of leaving somebody alone really does allow them the space to reach out when they are ready. It's just that you have to trust the process. And that is a very scary process because every day that goes by, you feel like they're forgetting about you, moving on, and not going to reach out again.
Right. And when you feel disconnected, then that can really strike that feeling of fear. And breakups are extremely fear-inducing. A lot of times we talk about the grief, we talk about the loss and the sadness. And that might be maybe more on the surface some of the time, where you feel like crying all the time, where you feel just this heavy weight on you. But the other feeling that accompanies it often is fear. I don't know what's going to happen next. Fear of uncertainty,
Yes.
fear of what life looks like without your partner. And that can be, overwhelming. That can really overtake you.
Yep. And that's why you have to work on your attachment issues. And we have been trying to educate you guys on that for years because when you work on those things, you truly learn to be more confident without them and not so afraid that they will move on because you feel better within yourself and more confident within yourself that when they do come back, you can reattract them.
Right. And this takes a different kind of courage, because we talk to people who have been through wars, who have seen a lot in their lives and have been through so much trauma and just horrible things that have happened to them, but they talk to us and we can see the fear in their eyes about living a life without their partner, even if the partner is still alive, right?
Yeah.
This person is still alive, the relationship ended, and they are completely devastated no matter what this person has been through. So this is just the power of love. This is the power of attachment. This is what it does to us, and this is how afraid it can make us.
Yeah. And, we teach you guys that this is called primal panic. Okay? It's like an alarm system wired within us that says stay close to your loved ones. And you can see this in toddlers, you can see this in babies. They know not to toddle away from their parents too far before that internal alarm goes off and says, go back to your parents. Okay? So this is the same thing that happens in a breakup. When somebody ends the relationship, it sets off primal panic within you. Right?
Yeah. And this is something that we're wired for connection. And so when we have a severance in that connection, it causes us to freak out. It causes us to panic. And our body goes into this entire panic mode. And we also talk about how a relationship ending can make you feel lost. When we're with our partner, we tend to make plans for the future, and whether those plans are going to a soccer game or getting married or buying a house together or whatever it might be, moving to the same city if you're long distance for some of you, we have this sense of security in the idea of what our future is going to be and in the future that we've planned with our partner. And so we plan for what's ahead, and when the relationship ends, all of those plans fall through immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Most of us would be disappointed if one out of the many plans with our partner fell through, let alone all of them falling through at the same time.
Good point.
So this is something that causes us to reroute our lives immediately. And for some of you are married with your partners. Some of you have been living and cohabitating with your partner for quite a while. So for some of you, it practically means, finding shelter very shortly after a breakup.
Yeah.
And so, these types of things, when they're messing with our sense of security and some of our basic needs, can definitely cause fear.
I mean, it is scary. Having so much uncertainty is terrifying. Feeling disconnected from somebody that you love and care about so much is terrifying. It's upsetting. It makes us sad. It makes us feel so many different emotions at once. And then we start to kind of go all over the place in our thoughts, right? They get to just get scattered, where we start to think, well, maybe they never cared about us at all. Maybe they never loved me. Then we start to think about things like, maybe I won't find somebody else. Or if they move on, I'm never going to find somebody like them again. I'm never going to find somebody else. Or I'll never care about somebody else as deeply as I did with that person. All kinds of thoughts come into our mind, and it just kind of leaves us in this fog, because we start to beat ourselves up. We look at everything that we did wrong. We start to blame ourselves. We start to think that there's something wrong with us. We start to internalize that we're messed up. We have problems. No one's ever going to love me. And then we just start to think all these different things at once, about the future, about our ex, about them moving on. And it just really leaves us in a state of despair.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, we start to have fears about our capabilities in relationships. Can I even do relationships? Will I be alone for the rest of my life? So sometimes these fears can have really, really deep roots. And so I know we're talking about fear quite a lot. The fear of losing our partner for good, not having a chance with them again, losing grip of this relationship. Fear is something that's really common. We see it in almost all breakups. There's that sense of, I don't want to lose this person, and I'm afraid to really, truly lose this person.
And that's what makes no contact so difficult. And so you start to look for excuses within yourself. Oh, if I just send a message about this or that, or check in on them, or do this, whatever excuse it is, clean slate message, handwritten letter, grand gesture, because we're afraid. But you need to show strength and not get overwhelmed by all these fears.
Right. And the first thing is identify what your fears are. What are you truly afraid of? What are you worried might happen? This is a really great starting point, just to be able to lay it down. Maybe it's helpful for you to write it down on paper. What are you worried about in this breakup?
Yeah, literally write it down. Write that question down and write it down.
And also think about some of your fears in the past. Many of you have been through moments in your past where you've been really afraid. You didn't know what was next. You didn't know what was going to happen. You were in a pit of uncertainty, and somehow you made it through. You're here with us watching this video.
Yeah.
So look back at those moments and have a self-reflection. Be able to say, well, how was I able to get out of those moments? And that's not to say that this is going to go the same way that those things did, but just to show your resilience, right? We can be super afraid, and sometimes that leads us to different heights, as cheesy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Sometimes it leads us to freedom when we can see the other side of that.
I mean, it's true. That's one of the things I do love about a breakup, is how much stronger it can make us. For the people that are really doing the work.
Yeah.
For the ones that are stuck on no contact videos, you're not going to get much further than no contact, though.
Right. And for some of you, you've had breakups where it was your worst imaginable fear. For some of you, especially if you have more of an anxious attachment style, your worst fear is being abandoned. Maybe you were in a situation where you were ghosted and you're not hearing from this person, and you're literally facing your worst fear, right? And so sometimes being in that position, as treacherous as it is, it does get you to a different place where you realize, I can handle this. I can get through with this.
Yep.
And so the other part of this is challenging some of those fears. I know we had talked about fear of the future, fears of our capabilities in relationships. We talked about the primal panic. And so think about some of these things and challenge some of those ideas that you might be afraid of. It might turn out differently from how you want it. It might not be what you want, but it doesn't mean that it has to be a bad future or a negative future or full of misery or sadness. So try to challenge your fears, as hard as that might be.
Yep.
And lastly, we had also talked about that primal panic and how it affects us somatically in our body. Being able to learn how to calm your body is so important. And we talk about this in a lot of our videos where we talk about emotional self-control, being able to emotionally regulate when we're feeling out of whack with our body. We have palpitations, we're not breathing right, we have diarrhea, like Craig has all the time. It's got a problem.
Yeah. Big problem.
Learning how to calm our bodies is really important. And for some of you, that might mean attending therapy. We're huge proponents of that. So if you're struggling with learning how to calm your body down, therapy can be of great help.
Absolutely. Talking about it makes a huge difference. Margaret used to talk about that all the time. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. And it really does make a big difference. And so many of you guys tell me at the end of our call, I'm so glad that I did this. You know, I've never talked to anybody like this before. I've never had a coach before. I never thought I would get a coach before. And then they feel so much better because instead of wondering and obsessively wondering, trying to put the pieces together, they're able to talk with us and see, oh, this is how a professional actually sees my situation,
Right.
and interprets and helps, you know, come up with a plan or how to navigate it.
Exactly.
So it feels a lot better to have a plan in place.
Right. And when we talk things through, when we're able to make more sense of it, then we feel like we have a little bit more control over it, right? There's things we can control, there's things we can't control.
That's true.
But being able to just get it all out there, put our thoughts into some kind of words that we can express to another human being, it can be super, super helpful.
Definitely. All right. So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever I can be helpful.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.